settled in well?
Well, yeah, we in my opinion made leaps and bounds, and we've changed a lot of things that was going on and wasn't going on. We've implemented some new stuff, and we've rearranged the office again now for the second time. I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent flow with the not only just the setup, but with the employees positioning them where I think they work best at. And that's been a little trial and error. I tried it off the bat, and then didn't exactly work like I wanted, so we've rearranged again. I know the girls are getting tired of it. I know DJ's boys are getting tired of it. But hopefully, if you come up there and look now, I've got everybody shifted to the front. We've got a lady that sits at the counter all day. That's her desk. And then we got a lady now sitting at a desk right behind her, so you can see her from the window as well. So I got two people basically that's watching the front window, and then the others are just stacked right in there behind them, down kind of outside of everybody. They're all right there close to where they can hear the wind. They can hear anybody at the front and be able to get to the door quite quickly. What that's done, though, is it's shifted everything that way. Now I've got, back there where I'm at, I've got two conference tables, and got a big open space there for, I don't necessarily need those two tables, but it's good to have a place to sit down if we need to pull some books out and discuss some things. So right now it seems to be flowing pretty good. It's only been this way now for about a little over a month, I guess, but so far so good. And we still got some things we want to try to do, one of my biggest things that I wanted to do from the beginning was implement a security, not a security system per se, but similar to what Becky's got in the tax commissioner's office. That's cameras that watches my staff and the public at the window. And then have those cameras positioned throughout the office just to watch everything else that's going on. And I've tried to explain to the girls, this is not that I'm trying to babysit you or watch your every move, but this is if somebody from the public comes in and says, I was treated a certain way, that I could look back at their camera and go, well, no, that's not exactly how I see it. So I actually went and got 3 quotes on doing that, and probably about June I started looking into trying to figure out what that would cost. I asked Becky. I think Becky went through ETC when she got hers. I found ETC to be a little higher than the other two that I looked at. So that was one of the things that I had included in this year's budget, was try to get maybe some extra funding for that. But before we get to that, there's some things that I really, it's almost a must that I get some of this stuff. That's not a must, to be honest. I'd like it, but if we get down to near the chopping block and those things like that, we could maybe look at somewhere in the future.
The professional services, that's our ongoing discussion. That's how we're funding.
Professional services.
Yes.
Courtney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Professional services.
Yeah. Courtney fell in that. And basically what I've done there is from last year, I think we budgeted $4,800 based on the year before of professional services, and then this happened with public defender's office. And so what I budgeted for there was the $1,000 a month for Courtney, which would be the $12,000 for the year, which was 48. That's really all that I'm accounting for in there. I think, based on what me and Sandy talked about, if you remove Courtney's situation completely, we're going to get about right on the 4,800, if I remember right. So we're gonna leave that as is and then bump it up to 12 for the public defender.
What, Sandy, why do we have such a jump in group insurance?
I think there has, that group insurance number is based on actual employees and the coverages that they have and everything now, plus the 6% increase. And I think that there probably, after Scott came in, there were maybe a couple of people added, or maybe one person added. I can't remember how many personnel changes you had after you came in, that because some maybe
people are taking, you know,
are taking the full family coverage or whatever, and others are not. So
I think we added Sherry, but I was thinking Sherry just took her,
I
just
can't remember
did
what
her own. Is that's the, I think that's the one I asked you about, why that was so much.
That's quite a
That
jump,
is-
and it's an annualized figure of 40,500 jumping to 72. That's worth another look, I think.
I can look at it again, but I went through our payroll, our employee list to see, on the most recent payroll, to see who had what type of coverage, and I'll double check it, but, you know, fairly certain that.
And on the bottom down at the back, your supplies and materials is more, but is that a,
That's a reflection of the list of things that I would like to be able to. I've got to have we now with vital records coming back in and they require us to have a scanner to be able to scan these records. And like if we
didn't get to steal that from the health department?
well, I asked them about if they could just bring that upstairs and
The health department's got some that won't work with their system.
No, that was the regular.
No, that was the-
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but they may work for you,
They're gonna have to replace those, so
but
And I can ask them exactly what, and I think I've got it upstairs, the make and model, and they recommended, the software people recommended a scanner that works real well with their software. It's about $1,000 for that scanner. And so I called the judge in Pickens County and I said, look, I know you're scanning. Did you buy that scanner? And he said, no. He said, they wanted me to. He said, but I found one, and I think the price I wrote down was $368. And he says it works fine for what they're doing. I was multiplying that by 2 to get 2 of them to put on 2 different desks where we can keep that process rolling. We got a lot of files in our vault that need to be scanned and then paperwork shredded. Based on the gentleman that came and spoke to us about archives and records and retention time, we've got a bunch that we can get rid of if we can get them scanned.
Now, y'all using the Gilmer document, Gilmer?
Milner? I don't think we are. No.
I know this is something that we talked about earlier, but it's worth mentioning that if you're looking at buying a specific, or buying a scanner for specific software, find out whether you need a Twain compliant scanner or not, because some are and some aren't, and it matters.
Twain compliant?
TWAIN.
and that's what happened in the registrar's office. They spec'd it and bought them and they don't work.
You can have it and not need it, but you can't need it and not have it.
Yeah, right.
But you can't say that.
Not real
Say that 3 times.
That is Mark Holden's philosophy for everything. It's better to need it, or it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
I apply that to fishing tackle all the time.
Yes.
And 17 different fishing poles left there.
Exactly.
You know,
Works for me
just-
with pocketbook things.
All right, I'll make a call on the scanner situation to be sure that it is. And basically, what it's got to be compliant. Well, what the system is the CJT software that we use for our traffic probate. We can actually go in and however I'm not doing it now, we can go in and do the vital records through that. But vital records through the state has also got its own portal and stuff you can work on. So I felt like to do it on 2 different ones was why. One works, and it's the state one, so I just I went with it. But I think based on CJT, the scanner they're looking at would also work with what we do with the file records. I'm trying to eliminate not having to get one model for this and one model for that, but one that would do both. The CJT software was another thing. I didn't realize CJT was something that was being used when I took office. It's a wonderful software, wonderful company. We've not had any issues with them. They've been great to work with. However, there's a lot of them we could pick from. Now, I've not went out and price shopped and tried to find if we could find a bargain deal software company, mainly because we've not had any issues. Had I had issues, I probably would have said, okay, let's shop this. Because I've got other judges that say, I use Icon, I use Court something and other, and they're all satisfied with theirs. I'm satisfied with CJT. But when we get into the scanning side of it, and I did not know this until I told them I wanted to start scanning these probate files and these traffic citations. They're like, oh great, yeah, we can use you signed up for that. The software for scanning is $4,000 on top of what you've already got. So that $4,000 is also wrapped up in this office supply line item that's increased.
Is there yearly maintenance on things, whatever we call it?
I would imagine it's probably going to fall under the same envelope of what we're paying CJT now. What CJT does, and this is why some judges don't like it, is CJT charges you a set fee per ticket you enter, probate you enter, whereas some software companies have got just a price. Some judges, like in a county of 4,000 people, they like that price per petition because they don't have a whole lot of them. You got somebody in Fulton County, and they want that set because they may issue, it's amazing what they do down there. For instance, the Dooley County judge, now that's pretty extreme South Georgia down there. He's got 26 miles of 75 running right through his county. We were at training a week or so ago, and he said at the end of September, he had brought in to his office from either petitions, citations, whatever. I would let this way paid to the county. He paid out to the county out of his office as of the end of September $2.5 million. And I fell over because I said, your population ain't what ours is. And he said, yeah, but I got 7 deputies. That's all they do is run 75. And troopers, that's all they do is run 75. He said, we're rolling in traffic citations. So I text Tracy and I said, tell me what we. So she sent me my number and I slide it over to him. I said, that's what I've done. He said, they'd fire me if that's all I brought. And I said, well, I'm not out writing citations. That's not my job. But, it's a small county, but it's doing a huge amount based on traffic only, though. Its citations are out crazy down there. But the other thing.
Keep that in mind when you're going.
I will be driving.
When you go through Dooley, just because they probably look at you. Yeah, they're setting the bar down there, so they're going to try to keep that.
They're shooting for 2.8.
In that same line item, I've also included a computer, and I think I've got a monitor in the vault that'll work, but if it don't, I've also included a monitor in with that. If I didn't need it, I wouldn't get it. And basically what that would do is put, we've got one, I think it's on the right-hand side of the window where nobody really sits. Lindsay sits at the left-hand side. Well, when you come in, she sits on your right, but the left-hand side is normally vacant. And that computer has had some issues where they basically shunned it and they used the one on the left. And so if possible, I might would upgrade that computer and bring it in kind of a newer with what we've got upstairs. I think it's the oldest one up there if I remember right. And then the security camera system was in that group, that number as well. And then and this may be handled through DJ. I've talked to him. The girls are sitting in conference room chairs at their desk and have been. They would like to get office chairs that are a little bit more comfortable. And I know we got a bunch of them out there at Oakland. DJ was going to try to find me some. If he's got them, then that can go away. And then I have got a few complaints outside in the lobby from me and Roger that the chairs outside the lobby for magistrate and probate don't adjust. So when you sit down, the counter's hitting you about right here. I don't know if the counter's got built too high or if these chairs are just too low, but I went out there and sat down, and it is an awkward, and folks will sit down and they'll make a comment about, these chairs not come up in, or they don't.
I've made the comment
Yeah,
personally.
so I've also asked DJ if he had 2, 4, 6, 8, if he had 8 chairs that looked the same, that would at least adjust up and down. If I could get those, then that would take care of another part of that line item. So I've got some wiggle room in there if I can find, if DJ can find me these chairs, and I won't need them at all. And then, like I said, number 1 is going to be the CJT software for the scanning. There's no need really to get the scanners if I can't get the software. So number 1 was the software, 2 was the scanners, 3 was the computer up front, and then 4 was the, actually listed the desk and chairs 4, and then the security was 5, would be my order. But all that combined together would be the number you're looking at on that line item of supplies and materials.
So a lot of that is a one-time cost.
Yeah.
That won't.
Supplies and materials to me is more expense and consumable stuff. I mean, some of this ought to be.
Do we have furniture and fixture or
Well,
equipment?
I agree.
Don't you have an equipment line?
If it's less than, well, we can do it, there is a capital outlay equipment for every department, but if it's less than $5,000, usually the auditors will just expense it. 5,000 is our threshold on, anything that's considered an asset.
Yeah, most of these probably are expensible, but still.
But from budgeting purposes, we're looking at it from year to year to year. I mean,
Right,
one-time things I would prefer
Right.
to have.
And those could be moved to a capital outlay. We've got a less than 5,000 equipment line that we can use. So, if you
I think from the process from
I
year to
would
year,
like that.
it would be helpful for us.
For those things that are one-time.
I think it's called
And
small
then your
equipment.
software maintenance ongoing.
That could be under, ongoing.
Yeah, then that would probably fall under the
Contract service.
contractor. Probably would.
Yeah, actually it would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So you're right, yeah, each one of those things I've named, the scanner, the software, the computer, the security, all of that stuff's a one-time that would then find its way into another line item once it's implemented or put in place. The desk and chairs, or the desk chairs would be a one-time expense as well. But I didn't really know where, and I think I
No,
was
it's-
No, that's
It's
good.
reasonable what you've done
Sure,
for our
sure.
purposes.
Right,
It'd be
sure.
nice to be able
And
to.
it, and I don't know, would that show up on my budget as a line item then, or is that something else?
Yeah, it would be an extra.
We tried to
It would
split
be
it out
another
into a
line.
capital budget, and
Okay.
those things are small, but essentially that's what it is.
Okay.
And probably when you and I talked about it, that's probably.
You
I told
mentioned this
you that
capital
it's
outlay, and
yeah.
I didn't know where that was at
But
exactly.
if the auditors don't capitalize it and then depreciate it, then it all belongs in the actual budget, general fund budget.
And there is
It's a line item.
a small equipment, but I think it corrects it, it says less than $5,000, because $5,000 is our threshold.
Yeah.
Is there in fact depreciating now in our books? We can depreciate.
Yeah, we
In a
do.
It
business,
doesn't show on our,
corporate
we have it it shows in the audit report, it doesn't show in our books, but we do have, we do maintain, the auditors maintain an asset listing and depreciation and all that for us.
Well, I think that'll work. I think, because of where we're at, and whether we have to cut anything out or not, Scott, but I think that's a good plan that you've got.
We do recognize you're trying to address issues in a department you just stated over
Yeah.
and so forth, and we appreciate your effort.
And we've tried to, I even talked to Sandy about looking where we are, and I told her I didn't much like the looking from August of 16 till because I wasn't here in August of 16. So in my mind, I started in January, and I'm looking from January to October, as to where we were, what we had spent out of these line items. My concern on some of these were the training, and you hit head on when we met down here last year when you said you're going to have to go for training. This probably ain't going to be enough, and I think we're going to end up about washing on that maybe. I can't remember, but because of the only thing that I see other than what we've already discussed on that's going up would be education and training. They've done two things to me now since we was here last year. They've now started a traffic court certification. So if you're a judge that does traffic, they've started a certification class you got to go through to be certified for that, which will start in 2018. First class will be in Columbus, Georgia. I can't wait for that one. But I don't know. It's a 3-day. It's a 3-day class. I don't know if that's going to be a one-time 3-day class and that's it, or we're going to do it a couple of times throughout the year. But because of that and because of the ongoing training that I know that we're going to get for vital records, those two things, I thought we might want to bump that. I went from 2850 to 3500 on that line item just to try to guess at what that will entail. And I think with that we would probably say falling in there, and then everything else. If I remember right, fell into close to what we were before.
Sandy, did we have anything in our budget for vital records prior to probate taking it up? Or was that all state money?
We didn't have any, you mean?
We didn't have a specific line.
No, we didn't.
Nowhere did we pay anything. Okay.
So we know where to pull it.
No, I was going to subtract, but there's nothing to subtract from. Okay. Okay.
Well, is there any more questions? You got any questions on the probate side for me on this one?
That insurance number is correct. That 72.3 includes the 6% increase.
So did somebody add to insurance that didn't have it?
Well, I don't know, I don't have the detail, but the weekly or the per pay period amount on health insurance for probate office is $2,623.75 per pay period. That's how it is currently. If you multiply that times 26 to annualize that, then you come up with $68,217.50, and then you add 6% onto that, and you get the 72.3.
I didn't.
And I would have to look back at history. I can't remember if somebody's changed coverage or maybe taken on their kids or family or whatever.
That we've done was we've hired somebody, but we had somebody, so I thought it would be pretty much a wash.
Does it matter whether their spouse and family's covered?
There is an addition to that, but I'm thinking Sherry, when I hired her, opted for just her personal, which wasn't going to be a difference going in. Now some of them has come back and said, well, I need to.
And that may be the
add my
case.
husband and kid. I don't know that.
So how many full-time do you then currently have?
Currently, I've got, I got a man. 5 clerks right now. And then Tammy works between me and Nell for elections, the registrar.
Right.
And we've got her split up.
Yeah,
And
she's on election.
Yeah, she's split out.
That does include, she does have benefits, so she.
But that's a separate number up here.
Well, I'm sorry, this is probate, that comes out of the election budget. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, that's an extra 12,000.
Are we ready to move to the election?
I'm ready.
Did you give me an election?
It should be attached to the probate right there.
Oh.
I have to do
You told me that.
I have to do everything for new people. I remember correctly, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, the main adjustments here are the fact that we'll have elections
We are,
next year.
It's just an aid.
I know, and I don't like that either, and I don't know exactly how we can, unless we make that a line item that says I don't know, it's an election budget, I hate to have a line item that says election, that must be on screen too, but it blows my mind when you look at the supplies and materials on years when there's no election, then you look at it when there's elections, you're like, good Lord. But that's what that's for,
what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did have Tammy, and I don't know that I got it with me, and I may have shared this with Sandy or Charlie.
Now, I think we budgeted the worst case scenario in here though, didn't
I
we?
was thinking that we did.
And Nelda had budgeted for what, three?
Least case scenario.
Three, she budgeted 3
She
elections.
budgeted 3 elections, which
Did we do
are,
4?
are definites, correct? The 3
Oh,
elections.
required.
that
Well,
Nelda-
not, well, if
If
you
there's
assume
somebody you have a run
Son of
on.
Run.
We may have,
I think we
Was
budgeted
it
for the
4?
worst case scenario, 4 or 5.
let's budget this back down to 3. What we
Because
decided with Delta was we would budget what we knew we had coming. If there was a new one, we'd have to adjust.
and I'm fine with that, as long as y'all know when you do, that if something happens like, and I think what we were looking at was if there is a special election in the spring,
Yeah, we did
which
include.
we're hearing rumors, maybe, but, that one and then the primary, then the,
Runoff
That's-
in general.
That's-
What would the
The
special
special
election
election, would that be BOE possibly?
yeah, school board.
We will be reimbursed for that. If it's
Well,
just
if-
that,
if it
we will
happens.
be reimbursed for
be?
that.
That won't.
No, we don't need to worry
What
about
would
that.
trigger
So
the
they'll-
election?
We've got some people that's questioning where some members live, as far as if they're in their right. They run on this post, but they may or may not be living. There's nothing really we can do as the elections office until somebody brings that as a formal proposal or complaint or whatever, then we can get involved at that point. But you're right, if the school board is going to reimburse that one, then that may be a wash.
So how do you handle that in other situations somewhere? Do you budget it and then, or not? Because we have some other
Well-
reimbursements.
I would think not.
I would think not
Yeah,
as
we
well.
would, I mean,
As
we
long
would
as you're
not budget, if
consistent.
we're gonna, right, if we're gonna be reimbursed, then
You can
the,
budget the reimbursement and then budget the expense, but
That doesn't,
no, we don't
if
budget
you
for
budget the
it.
expense,
It's
then
time for
definitely
launch.
there needs to be a line item for the reimbursement.
What do the auditors want? Because they won't let you offset expenses with revenue.
Right. Well, I mean, we budget the expense, we'll budget the expense, but then there is a separate line for a reimbursement.
Well,
There's
Just
a
like we-
revenue line.
just like we do for
a
salaries or other.
I'm guessing that's what the auditor would prefer based on what I've heard you say.
reimbursement. Yeah,
If we do it, we can do it that way, but I don't think we need to include it until we know we're going to have one.
Oh,
But if we do
But
have
we
one.
know there's gonna be 3, correct, from what
Yeah.
Neil said.
Yeah, there'll be a primary and a general, we know, and most likely a runoff in
Yeah,
that
I think we
primary.
should plan for
I
the
think we
runoff.
should be consistent across the board.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was good.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Was it
we'll,
26?
So that'll come down.
I was
it's
looking at
26,
that number.
it's
Well,
26,000.
that's what Anita always
Per
said,
election.
26. I was thinking Tammy runs some numbers for
She
her.
did, and that's how it
Did it?
averages.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know if you still had that.
Yeah, I think I got that right here. And that's kind of the average,
Okay.
because a smaller election costs a little less,
And
a
then-
bigger election costs a little more, so it averages out to about 26,000 per election.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, don't, you know,
we're going from 5 to 3, is that what we're doing?
as long as there's an understanding that if that happens, we'll be back.
I agree.
I'm hoping there's not a special election because of the board, but I hope that takes care of itself.
Well, in those situations where there might be, I'd rather deal with them if it turns out that there are,
Okay.
than to budget what might be.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So we're going to make that 93,000?
I'm gonna make that 83,000. It'd be 78,000 for the 3 elections, plus the 5,000 for just the general supplies, you know,
Okay.
the odds and supplies. So change that to 83,000.
So after these 3 days, you'll get these revised spreadsheets.
They go
I'm
on.
getting it in real time, she writes it down.
green pen, or my green pencil, it's just a magical green. I might, if I have time this afternoon, I'll go in and update the ones we did today. Get first ones. Because I've got all of these linked to that summary sheet, so when I change totals on these pages, it's automatically going to change on that summary sheet too, so we should do that.
I've started this way.
Almost all.
Sandy's revision, because I'm-
Well, except for the few that Alice found that I messed up on. Of course.
But that's a great, that works great.
It does.
It works
It
great.
just makes it easier.
It works great.
We're under 1.7.
All right, Scott, I like it.
Any more questions or comments or suggestions helpful?
Well,
Comments?
you're being very proactive, and I think that's the key. You're evaluating your processes and adjusting and adapting.
And you're improving the services to our citizens.
I'd
I
say
know they see it.
you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that folks are seeing that, and I'm trying to the paper wants me to do something every few weeks to just kind of tell folks what we do, because a lot of times when I was running, what does probate, what do you do with probate? So I'm trying to educate folks that way, and then now that vital records are, we have folks coming to the window saying, I need to get a death certificate, and give us information. We'll go to the computer, and it's not there. When it's not there, we have to alert the state to say, there's been a request for the death certificate. It's not on your system on Gabbers. Could you please put it on there? What happens then is somebody in Atlanta goes to a storage building, evidently, or back closet, and pulls out the
Paper.
10 boxes or whatever they got from Gilmer County 2 years ago, and sits down and starts going through it piece by piece till they find it. Then they will scan it, upload it, and send us an email that it's there now, you can print it. So you have somebody at the window going, we've already had this. Y'all ain't no better than downstairs.
Oh,
And so I contacted Donna Moore with the state, and I said, now, I'm going to give you fair warning. I'm putting a piece in the paper every so often, and I'm fixing to tell people in LJ that you're not going to be able to come to the window every time and get a death certificate in 10 minutes. Do you want to give me the verbiage you want me to say, or do you want me to say? I said, because my office is not going to be the fall guy
No.
for something going on in the state. So she called me, we had a big conference call for an hour or so, and she's very politically correct, and I appreciate that, but we need to work together, which I get all that. I told her, I said, I'm good to work with you, but I'm not going to have my staff berated over something that's out of our control. And so I asked her point blank, can I not have those boxes back? If I have them in my vault and somebody comes to the window and we can't find it on Gabbard, I can send one of my employees in there to look through those boxes a lot quicker than y'all can. So she him-hauled around there, and she said, well, I tell you what, you monitor that, and if you have several of those happen, I'm not opposed to bringing all that back to you. Which was a good win in itself, because she pretty much said, first she said I wasn't getting them, which I did.
Right.
Then she said I wasn't getting the hard copies, which now she's like, if you need them, we'll get them back up there too. But the problem with that is if we find them in the vault and I'm holding it in my hand, I've got to scan it to the state. They've got to put it in the system, then we can print it out. We can print it out even though I'm
So
holding
you
it.
have control though.
But I'm looking for it, not them.
Right.
Now, she's saying that we have a 72-hour turnaround at the state. If I send a request, they'll find it if it's there in 72 hours. Whereas I might can find it in an hour if they get it back. Because when they bring them back in those boxes, I'm going year and alphabetical and file. That way when somebody comes in and says,
5 minutes.
yeah, somebody says Daddy died in 1974 and his name was this, I can go back there and go, here it is. If it's not on the system, I can scan it, email it to the state, they can upload it on Gabbard, then we can print it.
If you get your scanner.
So I think it's going to be a very,
Explain the plan.
I think it's going to be a very good setup once everything comes together, and we get into that process. We're still working out some kinks on different things, but we're getting there. the girls are adjusting real well. Some of the things, they scratch their head and look at me like, why? And I'll say, because I think it'll be better. There's been some things that have been, and there's been some things that I've had to go back and say I was wrong. Let's go back to the way it was, because it didn't work like I thought it would. So,
I'm still waiting for him to come in and pair bleaching on Friday.
hey, I had a picture made at the co-op
I saw that,
meeting.
but I wasn't here. Yeah, I know, you did have one with me too.
Barbara woke me up to show me.
Look, he does know how to, he does on the pair of
I should have
bleaching.
taken another one, my suit on and see. In the back.
The judge will work with
Charge.
Gene.
And then I couldn't go back to sleep after seeing it.
Right, y'all night, didn't it? All righty. I appreciate anything that y'all can offer as a helpful suggestion that you hear or see that we can do better. Please let me know, because that's our goal.